Hello and welcome. I am your host, Lana the Educator. Here we explore the latest educational trends. We tackle pressing issues that face the education sector and conduct interviews with people making a difference. I also share stories of triumph and innovation from around the globe. If you're interested in all of this, then stick around. Today, I'm going to do a bit more and explore the power of words, stories, and the voices shaping our world. Because today, I am taking you behind the scenes and inside the 2025 Bocas Lit Fest that took place in Trinidad and Tobago over the last few days. This is Trinidad and Tobago's premier literary festival, and importantly and most excitedly, this year they were celebrating 15 years with the theme Always Coming Home. This year's festival was packed with literary magic, featuring exclusive interviews, live readings, and audience reflections. So this lunchtime, just grab your lunch, something nice, settle in, and let's look at the heart of Caribbean literature inside the 2025 Bocas Lit Fest. Let me just tell you a bit about the Bocas Lit Fest. So it follows a fully in-person format with events taking place at the National Library and Old Fire Station in Port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago. The festival ran from the 1st of May to the 4th of May. So it started on Thursday last and ended at Sunday. That went by. And it featured a packed program. There were readings, there were discussions, there were book launches, commissioned new writing, open mic sessions, workshop, children events, music, drama, and of course, prize ceremonies. It was absolutely free, just except for a few minimal fee for workshops. And there were selected events that were live streamed through the festival's website, through YouTube and their Facebook pages, ensuring, accessibility to and for a wider audience. The festival was absolutely free and open to the public. Except for ticketed events, as I mentioned, for example, like the Free Citizens National Poetry Slam semifinals and the semifinals. And this year, the theme was Always Coming Home. It opened on Thursday with a workshop at the first floor seminar room at Nallis. And it was one of the few ticketed events that required pre-registration. It was about this earth, this sea, writing through the natural world with Jason Allen Passant and Alicia Per Mohammed. And it looked at what creative instruments nature gave us to shape and reflect on the world we inhabit, and also guiding environmentally informed writing in any genre to its next level. And this was done with these two award-winning UK-based poets and nonfiction writers in partnership with the British Council. Then a little later on, there was the major event and the opening night, which was a tribute to Earl Lovelace at the Central Bank Auditorium, a celebration of the literary icon's 90th birthday, featuring readings, music by Freetown Collective, and the debut of Lovelace's first book of poems. Lovelace is a literary icon. His works like Dragon Can't Dance and Salt have shaped Caribbean storytelling. And this actually kicked off the festival night at the Central Bank Auditorium. Another major event that same night was the Backchat, Queer Resilience, a powerful spoken word and storytelling event featuring LGBTQI plus writers like Andre Bagu and Shivani Ramlochan. And these were live readings and performances. And this was one of the more electrifying moments at the events, which took place at Kaiso Blues Cafe, right? So it was a celebration of queer voices, which took place right after the Loveless at 90 Central Bank event. Then there was Friday, which for many people really kicked off the Bocas Lit Fest at the National Library. You would find a bit more people coming in. A lot of the events took place at the old fire station, specifically with festival director Nicholas Laughlin setting the tone for an unforgettable weekend, and where there was spoken word poet Shakira Burton, who was last year's First Citizen National Poetry Slam champion, who energized the crowd with a powerful reflection on how writing and reading bring us home. you know, opening and walking through the festival grounds, you could really feel the energy, the book lovers browsing the stalls, the authors signing copies, and the conversation just buzzing about the latest Caribbean literary gems. There were other major events, which we talk a bit about later, which was, for one, the OCM Bocas Prize for Caribbean Literature, and that was at the 15th annual award ceremony honoring the best Caribbean books of the past year. There was also the festival birthday party, which was a special event celebrating past winners of the OCM Bocas Prize through dramatized readings and music, which you'll hear more about in a bit. So there were many featured authors and guests, author spotlights and interviews taking place, which will intersperse across the 4 days which took place across the festival. So entering on any day or visiting the festival on any day, you would have definitely seen authors being featured or spotlighted and interviews taking place. So some of the authors you would have seen were Una Broadbar, Marlon James, Olive Senior, and Anthony Vanni Capildeo, acclaimed Caribbean writers sharing their latest works and insights. There was also Alexis Pauline Gumbs, who is an author of a new biography on Audre Lorde, which discussed the intersections of literature and activism. There was also Kai Thomas and Lauren Scott, looking at emerging voices in Caribbean fiction and poetry. Importantly, there was the spotlight, a conversation with Olive Senior, which was very exciting. And then Olive Senior captivated audiences with her readings and insights on Caribbean history and identity. And if you don't know Olive Senior, she is one of the Caribbean's most esteemed authors, a writer of fiction, poetry, and history. And she discussed and read from her work in talking with Amilcar Peter Sanatan in a special event that was open to all, but mainly aimed at secondary school students. And this was done in partnership with J.B. Fernandez Memorial Trust. Very exciting. Of course, in looking at my author spotlight, there was also one of my favorites, Marlon James, who is author of the book of Night Woman, author of A Brief History of Seven Killings, John Crew's Devil, and Moonwood Spider King, to name a few. Here's a bit of him in Sunday's segment, this in discussing Lovelace's work.
This is it's on now. So a lot of people don't know this. I did my college thesis on Earl. Please don't search for it. I do not want to see it. I first encountered him at UWI. Victor Chan, who we mentioned before, was my professor who did the Wine of Astonishment. And even though I was in high school, say the 80s, I still had a pretty British colonial education. So like dialect was broken English, meaning it needed to be fixed. And even now, I'll come across Jamaicans who go, why did you write that second novel? Didn't you learn English in school? So the idea, and even when we, certainly in Jamaica, came across patois, it was sort of looking down at it, or it's for slapstick. And you come across this, which you still find sometimes in a Caribbean lit, where the author is sitting himself as smarter than his characters. And so when you read something like, when I read something like Wine of Astonishment, like a lot of really well-thinking colonial people, that was outraged. It's like, we're doing this. This type of dialect. The thing I like about what Earl was doing is like, he was doing things that you're not supposed to do. I was like, looking at this again, because I brought up Wine of Astonishment. That's the first one. This is a complete sentence. The American soldiers who come down to Trinidad to protect us from the invasion were still in Bonas, drinking cockspur rum and fooling up the women, driving their jeeps and screeching their brakes like madmen all over the place, waking Christian people at all hours of the night to hear bottles crash and women scream and guns shoot off, and make me curse the day that these heathen people landed the colony with money in their pocket and guns on their waist to have mother and daughter whoring down the place and big men toots behind the Yankee dog.
So as mentioned before, there were several panel discussions and workshops. And this year there was a treasure trove for aspiring writers. There was Jason Allen Pesant and Alicia Mohammed, which, as I mentioned before, led this Writing Through the Natural World. And there was also Berkeley Wendell Semple's interactive workshop, which was a game changer in helping teens bring their verses to life. It was really for young poets. Yeah, it was a young writers and poets workshop. It was very interactive, with Berkeley Wendell Semple helping teens refine their craft. And there was also a publishing and literary futures, which were discussions with editors and publishers on the evolving landscape of Caribbean literature. So very important things for people coming up. There were also workshops and seminars taking place inside the AV room and the seminar rooms at NALIS. Like there was Writers First and the We Lit workshops for teens, which is a special interactive workshop for teen poets. These seminars were part of a series of free seminars for early career and self-published authors, covering crucial aspects of the book business and tips just to unlock your creativity. Friday also saw the Bocas Youth Debate at the Old Fire Station, and there was also the exciting Project Fusion Junction, which was the official launch of the Project Fusion Junction, and Extempo session, which was a multimedia transnational project that brought together 15 teams, each from Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica, and Northern Ireland, to collaborate physically and virtually, which resulted in an online and printed graphic novel based on a common theme. There were, several take sessions, we should call them. So there was take 2, take 3, take 4, things like that. And one of them was take 2 with Lisa Allen Agostini and Kai Thomas in looking at historical fiction that took the facts of the past, distant or recent, and reimagined them to bring forgotten stories back to light. It ranged in time scale from the 19th century to the early 20th. Recent fiction by Lisa Allen Agostini, which was Death in the Dry River, and Kai Thomas in the Upper Country. And that really demonstrate transformative power. So Friday night actually ended at the Big Black Box with Always Coming Home, celebrating 15 years of the OCM Bocas Prize. And it was a celebration of the 14 extraordinary books of poetry and fiction and creative nonfiction, which have won the overall prize to date. And it was brought to life through drama and music and featured stage readings and a musical performance by Three Canal.
Me and Richards trucked down the incline to the nibbling edge of the water. The place warm, not a breeze blowing. But that's good for us because the water will be flat. Good morning, neighbor. Good morning, neighbor. Good morning, neighbor. Morning, neighbor.
On Saturday, there were more people coming out to the festival. It was really an exciting atmosphere. You had merch and books on sale, and there were opportunities for community and audience engagement, which you can take a look at here and just get some feedback on how some people were feeling about the festival and their experiences in the festival.
My name is Mohammed Muakil. I have been around Bocas from the very, very, very beginning. What I love about Bocas is that it opens up the general public to authors that they may not know. We have this literary conversation about what's happening in the Caribbean, and writers get a lot more exposure than they would at any other time of year. Plus, of course, Islam.
Hi everyone, my name is Felicia Jack. I'm from the beautiful island of Dominica, but I'm a student here in Trinidad and Tobago, and I'm so happy to be here at Bocas Lit Fest for the first time ever. I'm excited to see the different authors, especially Lisa Allen Agostini, and to see other bookstagrammers who I really adore and enjoy watching online, and I'm so excited to be here and enjoy what's going on.
Hi, my name's Phoebe. This is my first time here. We just saw a showcase play thing that was really, really good. That was really fun. It was good for me to learn about some more of the culture here, which was really cool. And there's also lots of really fun art stalls where people are selling things they've made, and I've already bought 3 pairs of earrings. So pretty good day.
Right, so my name is Yomi Shode. I am a writer. It's my first time not only at Bocas Literature Festival but in Trinidad and Tobago, and it's such an honor to be here. What am I looking forward to? It's hard to say because I think in experiencing everything for the first time, it's all an experience. So from the workshops to the conversations to the company to the events, everything is a first for me, and for that I'm thankful. So there's no real specificity. I can't give you anything, but I'm thankful to be here nonetheless.
Hi guys, so I'm here representing Spec, which is a local zine publication. We publish local authors, writers, everybody in between, and we publish quarterly. Each issue is focused on Trinidad itself and the issues happening here, things we talk about, don't talk about, and definitely should be talking about can be found in the zine. We're here at Bocas right now giving out free copies, and it's been a great experience so far. Bocas is like the literary festival, of course, so to be able to represent independent publishing has been really awesome. We met great people here so far, and it's overall just been a great day. So yeah.
Hello, I am Dion Diaz, Calypsonian and extempo artist, and I want to welcome you to the Bocas Lit Fest 2025, where the theme is Borders Community.
I'm here at the Bocas Lit Fest, and this is actually my first time at the Lit Fest. I was at the Youth Fest last year, and I'm just excited to check out some of the workshops and seminars that they have. And I'm actually here with audio, so you can check them out at www.getaudio.com, and it's a Caribbean-based audiobook app that's getting ready to be launched at the end of May, so you can check them out for some cool stories. And come down to the fest, bring your family, bring your friends, check out the events that they're having.
Alright, hi, I'm Shana Mohammed. I am a traditional fine artist, graphic artist, all the good stuff. I'm at Bocas Lit Fest. I was recently featured in Spec, and I just came on there to get a copy, and I was interested in all the poetry and the writing. So it's a fun scene. If you want to come down and check it out, support local artists, then yeah, you could also follow me on Project AWB on Instagram and check it out. Alright.
So some opportunities for community and audience engagement were things like the Stand and Deliver, which was a space for emerging writers to share their work. So it was one of the main festival platforms for new writers who want to read their work for peers and a festival audience. It was an open mic event for writers of all genres. And there was also book signings and meet the author sessions, which took place, continually over the 4 days of the festival, which provided opportunities for attendees to engage with their favorite writers. And of course, we couldn't forget the children. There was the Children's Festival, where there was storytelling, creative writing workshops, and interactive sessions for young readers. I remember I mentioned the takes. So there were several takes, like take 2, 3, take 4, where authors engage in conversation with other authors with opportunities for audience engagement. And one that stood out for me was Voices of Home. And it stood out because it was a special showcase of recently published books by TNT authors exploring a diversity of voices, subjects, and styles. And it featured Joel Frederick, Ayana KSL Chan, Otansia Noel, and Ved Valmiki. And they were introduced by June Ming. So you can take a look at them speaking about their work. As well as on Saturday, there was the Saturday film, Earl Lovelace at 90, and that was a celebration of the iconic writer's 90th birthday, which continued at the festival with screenings of 2 film adaptations of his short fiction, both directed by his daughter, Earl Lovelace, in the short film George and the Bicycle Pump. There were lots of opportunity for audience engagement and community voices, of course. If you look at the festival goers, I'm just sharing their various experiences and literary moments here. So Saturday evening really ended with the UCM Bocas Prize and Bocas Henry Swansea Award ceremony. And that was the festival's centerpiece award ceremony, which recognized the past year's best books of poetry, fiction, and literary nonfiction. And the winner of this year's award for distinguished service to Caribbean letters. And this year's winner of the overall award went to Miriam J.A. Chansey for Village Weavers.
Hi, my name is Celeste Mohammed. I am an author, but I'm also a very avid reader of Caribbean literature. And so I'm looking forward to this 15th Bocas to just see all the people that I love reading. In particular, I'm looking forward to Olive Senior and getting her new book. I'm excited to read it. But of course, most of the people here are my friends, so I'm excited to see them too. Always coming home.
On Sunday, of course, there were several things taking place in the Sunday program. Both weekend days were packed. So a one-on-one with Diana Macaulay at the Old Fire Station, which was just looking at her new novel about a 99-year-old Jamaican woman whose house in rural Mason Hall had concealed many secrets. And there was, again, the Sunday film, which was Earl Lovelace at 90, for those who missed it in the previous days. There was a workshop, If Freedom Writes No Happier Alphabet. This, again, workshops were required pre-registration. And you had another take two with Kevin Adonis Brown and Alexis Pauline Gums looking at the concepts of arrival and survival. Then you had Stand and Deliver on Sunday again, which was an open mic event. It was completely free performance. It was hosted by Jari and Remy, and it featured Yeshua Townsend as a special guest reader. You also had, of course, the Booker Swansea Award that I was talking about earlier, and for distinguished service in letters. And this time around, it was not presented to an individual, which was unique. It was presented to an institution, the Journal of West Indian Literature, which was founded in 1986 and has really evolved over time. And then you had another take two that looked at, with Anu Lakan and Alicia Pro Mohammed, which looked at landscapes and journeys, both real and imagined. And then you had life stories again, which was taking place in the Avery Room at Nallis. And then you had another workshop, History is a Story, looking at Trinidadian Canadian Kai Thomas, who is the author of Atwood Gibson Writers Trust Fiction Prize-winning novel In the Upper Country. And then you had the books that made me, taking place at the Old Fire Station. So this one was one that really stood out for me, because it looked at Lovelace as a special edition and how the work of Lovelace shaped subsequent generations of Caribbean authors. And you had some of the most acclaimed contemporary writers discussing the novel and stories of TNT's beloved icons and how Lovelace shaped their writing and thought. So this took place with Lisa Allen Agostini, Marlon James, a personal favorite, and Anthony Joseph, who were in conversation with Gabrielle Hossain. And you can take a look at some of what that looked like at the festival.
Spiral come with steering wheel and Congo man. And they'll sit down there below that house in Barataria for 2 weeks now. From when the family bring her there after her one child dead at 5 days old, and poor Elsie milk coming and burst. The milk stay full up her breast with no baby to feed.
There were a couple more live stories. And of course, there was the book launch of Celeste Mohammed and Olive Senior a little later in the afternoon at the Old Fire Station. This was again free. So it presented two really anticipated novels by both of them past winners of the OCM Bocas Prize. And they were set centuries apart and in both scope and ambition. So you had Olive Senior's Paradise Once and Celeste Mohammed's Ever Since We Small. So you can go and look for those in bookstores like Paper Base Bookstore. And if you look at my previous podcast, Simone Camps would have talked more about her managing that store, our Metropolitan Bookstore as well, who also made a showing at the Nallis Library with their books. And this book launch is where the authors were joined by Lisa Uttar, who hosted that particular conversation. So as the festival wound down, you found that one thing was definitely clear that the Caribbean literature is thriving. There were seasoned authors, there were new authors, emerging voices, and the Bocas Lit Fest continues to be a beacon for storytelling and cultural exchange. So the festival closed with the much anticipated Poetry Slam competition at Napa. So this year's Poetry Slam was the biggest night of spoken word poetry in Trinidad and Tobago. It marked the festival was in its 15th year, but Poetry Slam 14th year as the premier stage for performance poets in the Caribbean. And this year it was held at the National Academy for the Performing Arts, which we typically call NAPA here, on the Sunday, the May 4th. And it was a really high energy event. There were 14 finalists competing for $50,000 grand prize under the theme of Bring It Home. And the defending champion, Shakira Burton, faced fierce competition as poets delivered. They delivered hard-hitting performances. They tackled themes of identity, resilience, social justice. It was a completely sold-out audience with an electrifying stage presence by the poets themselves. The Grand Slam was an unforgettable showcase of Caribbean talent. Alicia Psyche Haynes taking third place of the first Citizens National Poetry Slam. So,
in second place, please put your hands together for Mr. Darren. In first place, can I get a drum roll from the audience, please? Put your hands together for Shaquille.
You can find all of these on the Bocas Lit Fest page, hashtag Bocas Lit Fest 2025. Check them out on all forms of social media, and you let me know what was your favorite moment in the festival in the comments below. Stay tuned for next week's episodes. I want you to know that you empower minds and you ignite curiosity. You have been listening to Lana the Educator. Until next time.
Good morning, neighbor.